Colleagues, I welcome you to today's sitting. Happy to see you, Honorable Chivumbi.
On Tuesday, 28th October 2025, Parliament approved a loan from the African Development Bank to finance the construction of the Busega-Mpigi Expressway.
I beg to move a motion for the resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to euro 188.18 million, equivalent to UA 150 million from the African Development Bank and euros 28.31 million, equivalent to units of accounts 22.57 million from the African Development Bank Fund as additional financing for the construction of Busega-Mpigi Express project. I beg to move.
The construction of the Busega-Mpigi Express project is critical for national development and is in line with Vision 2040, the National Transport Master Plan, the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Transport Plan, and the Kampala Physical Development Plan. It is a prerequisite for regional integration and interconnectivity. It is therefore urgent and important to ensure additional financing required for completion of the project. In light of its strategic importance, the committee emphasizes the urgency of securing additional financing required for the completion of the project.
Borrowing more for a delayed project raises commitment fee and interest costs, diverting funds from essential services such as the country's dilapidated healthcare system, among others. Similar projects like the Kampala-Jinja Express Highway experience similar delays, showing a pattern of relying too much on loans without making necessary reforms. Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, approving this loan without following the Auditor General's report could lead to more mistakes in the future.
When you study the standard unit cost of constructing a bitumen grade 1 road across Africa, you are hovering over 2 to 3 million US dollars. Now, this is 14 million US dollars, way above what ordinarily passes. So what justification does government have to construct a unit cost, a kilometer of bitumen, whatever grade, at 14 million US dollars, over and above the normal average African cost of 3. This would be more expensive than Entebbe Expressway.
We agreed that that road must feed into Kampala-Entebbe Expressway, so that when you come from that road, you don't just come and first rotate again the other side. You should feed in. Then there was also another one from Ndeba planned, then this one of Mitiana, and we said it should be done in a way that they all feed into each other.
I also want to assure Parliament that this is going to be a toll road, so we'll be able to recover the money over time. It's not just a free road like any other, it's going to be a toll road, and also among the costs are the toll gates, because originally it didn't have toll gates. Now we have 4 toll gates which have been included, and the construction of those toll gates are part of the cost. The interchange, Right Honorable Speaker, is part of the borrowing, is part of this money we are borrowing. It's a very complex interchange which will be around Chengera to be able to get all these other connections linked together. The Entebbe Expressway, the Mitiana, the main Busega, the main road from the Northern Bypass.
During the sitting, members of Parliament urged government to review and strengthen road safety policies to curb the rising number of fatal road accidents across the country, saying many of them are preventable.
I received with sadness the news of 46 Ugandans who perished in a road accident in Kidiandongo on the Kampala-Guru Highway. On my behalf and on behalf of the Parliament of Uganda, I want to express our sincere condolences to the bereaved families and wish the injured a quick recovery. You know, we have talked about this issue of road safety over for a very long period of time. I believe it's an issue we need to again refocus on, especially urging the Ministry for Transport and the Uganda Police Traffic to ensure that indeed there is safety on the road.
I think the government should come up with a policy, maybe a new policy about driving passengers or PSV vehicle drivers.
We have drivers who have a very bad record on their driving permits, but police cannot track because we don't have that policy of penalty points endorsed on someone's driving permit. When we do that, it will go a long way to help us to remove these careless drivers.
The signages, those black spot areas, whereby if need be, as much as they are highways, but there is need for some humps. So I pray that Ministry of Works should come in, map all the black spots in the country, put enough signage, and also it should put good furniture for the country.
Vehicle owners modifying their vehicles and include floodlights. Right, Honourable Speaker, at night, many times you face such vehicles with floodlights. You nearly get off the road, and so many accidents have resulted from that. I pray that Ministry of Works should take up that issue seriously.
These bus drivers, they drive at very terrific speed because the more routes they make, the more allowances they will get. And most of them, you find them driving from Kampala to Kanungu. He wants to reach there, come back, and then take another route without sleeping at all. I would propose, at least let it be a policy, that if such buses are going on such longer journeys, let them at least have 2 drivers.
In the sitting, the Deputy Speaker, Thomas Taebwa, tasked the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives to investigate public concerns over delays in certification processing by UNBS, among other issues.
There's also an issue whereby you finish paying your taxes, but then the process of UNBS releasing your container is more hectic than the process of even you paying taxes. So now you ask yourself, and of course, this ends up resulting into damage. So I want to assign the Committee on Trade, Tourism and Industry to study these issues, engage the Minister, engage the board, engage the leadership at UNBS, and report back to us within 2 weeks, so that as we go into the budgeting process, issues of chronic delays that are affecting the public are handled. Also, I understand there is a system which UNBS had bought, I think, for identifying substandard goods, was around 900 million. But for very many years, it's on the shelf. When the government of Uganda paid for money. So we want to see a really honorable minister. What is the problem with UNBS? Why can't it deliver as mandated? Why are we having also a lot of interference for very many sectors? How can we support them? How come now finance no longer allow them to spend at source? Because you pay for your certification. Money goes to the consolidated fund. Now you wait up to when finance releases for them to start processing your permit. But you're a trader, you can't know about all this. It's not your problem that there are these inefficiencies along the way. So Committee on Trade, I've guided you on the areas. Clerk extract for them the areas I've guided, and they report back within 2 weeks.
On Wednesday, 29th October 2025, Parliament urged the Ministry of Education and Sports to review the Higher Education Students Financing Scheme to address persistent concerns of regional imbalance, digital exclusion, and limited access for vulnerable learners.
This time around, the Ministry of Education and Sports adopted 3 loan award selection model in line with Parliament's recommendation
and aspirations of taking into consideration the district quota. In selecting the successful loan applicants, the Ministry considered the district quota alongside the socio-economic status of the applicant. The loan awarded to students covered the student institution fees, covered the functional fees, research fees payable to tertiary institutions, and the funds to cover appliances for persons with disability were also covered by the loan scheme. The Ministry disperses loan funds directly to the tertiary institutions and not to the beneficiaries. The budget for the first year students stands at 7.83 billion shillings that had been earmarked to fund 1,500 students.
The issue of the online application, it is good, technology is improving, but our students may not have access to this application, especially deadlines. Could there be an improvement in sharing these adverts with the line officers at the districts? At least the adverts could be hanged probably on the district offices for all people to know.
What we say is that more and more of the opportunities are given to the regions and the districts that perform well under the ordinary government sponsorship. Would like to know the affirmative action formula that is being applied to a district like Obongi that has no electricity, that has no internet, and the application is online.
Just recently, there was also a discussion of how government scholarships can also be made equitable in all districts. And I remember, Honorable Speaker, you were the champion of this, looking at how the rich will end up, the children of the rich will also end up benefiting when we get to government sponsorship at universities. I think soon the ministry should also consider this so that the aspect of maybe district quota can come in. If we talk of 4,000 government slots, all other districts should also equally benefit.
Some of the people, when they hear the word loan, they get scared. It's as if you're going to borrow on behalf of the family and all that. So districts like Amudat, like Nabratuk, these districts which could raise one student, I think we should look so much on the district quota. District quota arrangement. Maybe you don't need to get every district to say how 5 students were. No, I think you can discuss on the executive side and see how you can do affirmative action. You say, for example, each of these districts you have like 10 students. And you make the students work hard knowing if they pass, they will get affirmative action.
On Thursday, 30th October 2025, Parliament approved a new loan worth over $121 million from the African Development Fund to finance Uganda's electricity export project to South Sudan, despite sharp divisions among members of Parliament.
The implementation of the project will enable Uganda to trade 624 gigawatt hour of its surplus energy with Southern Sudan in the first year of operation, with corresponding huge reduction in greenhouse gas emission.
Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, we acknowledge that the regional power trade is advancing rapidly after exports to our neighbors of Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, Democratic Republic of Congo, and lately to South Sudan. However, Ugandans have not had a chance to know the memorandum that governs this exportation. The contract terms and obligations governing the export are still a public secret from the Parliament for its interrogation and further inquiries.
We have a lot of power to supply. What is happening to the distribution in this country? We really need that distribution to cover a big area. What is it that is stopping us? If it is to borrow, why don't we also borrow for distribution so that our areas which are in darkness can get power?
NGOs have established welding machines, areas for promoting youth, but they cannot. The ministry has adamantly refused to step down power. They can here come and say, let's transport power now to Sudan. As if there are no human beings in West Nile. You have turned us into animals. We don't need power because we are not part of the national park. We need clear explanation before we can allow this loan to proceed to Sudan, or else we get it. Let's first sort West Nile.
For example, the electricity scale-up access project is just 80%. I mean, it's 20%, 80% remain undisbursed. There's a transmission line from Masaka to Mbarara, almost 100%. The loan is just lying there. I think 2 loans. And then power supply to industrial areas. The ministry should explain to us why they would come to us to borrow and raise the appetite of Ugandans that we are going to connect them to the grid, and in the end, some of these monies remain, and yet we have to pay a lot of cost.
By 2024 alone, Uganda's power capacity was over 2,000 megawatts. And as a country, we were only consuming 988 megawatts. It means we have a surplus of over 1,000 megawatts, and of which, by the way, we pay for this power even when we don't consume it. And some of this power to produce, we have borrowed money, and we continue paying for it even when we don't consume it. Right Honourable Speaker, this loan is in the best of the interest of Ugandans, that we borrow it, then supply this power to South Sudan. They pay for it as we relieve ourselves of the debt burden for the loans that we borrowed earlier to produce this power.
We operate businesses in South Sudan and in neighboring countries like Kenya and Rwanda. So when we supply power into these countries, automatically we shall also be beneficiaries of the utilization of the power. And in turn, it will also bring for us income to Uganda.
The report clearly says that we have excess available electricity. Yes, we are producing 256 megawatts now, but we are using only 900. It means we have some electricity that we can sell. And this selling of electricity not only brings in foreign currency to our country, but it also contributes to reducing the power tariffs which you are talking about. Because if you are producing electricity and you are not selling, the tariffs is shared, the cost of production of electricity is shared among the few consumers. But if we can extend the power, it contributes to reduction of the tariffs.
Colleagues, House adjourned, sign die.